All right, in this.
Hey. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Man, I can't see the chat. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you. I'll relay the good messages to you. Hello, everybody.
Hi, I'm live at Indisc. We are supporting this awesome tournament. I believe it's now the largest pinball tournament ever in the world, probably. So we are in Riverside, California, one of Kyle's all-time favorite cities. I'm in the pit. You can see this is the most epic streaming rig that created everyone else's streaming rigs. The Carl D'Angelo special. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys how awesome this event is and how excited people are to play tournament pinball. Everyone's so intense. Look. Do you see anybody you know? Oh, look, it's Kale.
It's Kale Hernandez. Oh, man.
Oh, I don't know if they'll be able to hear you. Hold on. Let's go. Okay, you can talk through this.
So what's going on? Are we live?
We're live on Twitch.
Are we? On Twitch?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Glad you guys could join us. How many folks do we have in here? You don't even know.
Maybe like 10.
Probably like 10? Okay. Well, and they can watch it later, right?
Yeah.
We're having a great time. I just found Emoto out here. She's going to be showing us all around this wonderful thing. You need to go to the free play area, right?
Yeah.
The Captain's free play area. They have a bunch of cool games out there. Brand new Rush. Everybody's excited about that. And then Daniel over here with the Project Pinball. Good deal. Good. Hey, thanks for saying hello.
I miss hyping up the shows with you, man.
Oh, I miss doing them with you.
Give a shout out for your Twitch page.
Oh yeah. Check out our Twitch channel, Electric Bat Arcade. Just search for that on Twitch, and check out our latest video. It's very cool. Some of our friends made a Dukes of Hazzard pinball machine.
It's so cool.
Very cool stuff. Go check it out. That's going to be at ZapCon this year, so anybody can play it. Anyhow, I'll talk to you guys later. You have fun. Show these guys how awesome this stuff is. I'm going to go try to qualify for this tournament.
Okay. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Kyle says bye. Kyle says bye.
Oh.
He said bye. He said, oh, bye-bye.
So,
all right.
Kale,
that was serendipitous.
Kale used to work for Marco. He's one of our coworkers who went off to run his arcade with his wife in Arizona. Miss him dearly. He's the funniest man on the planet.
Yeah, it's definitely. So this is the open. This is the main tournament. I think there's like 20 games on the base. But what I think is cool is this. Like they have the playfield screens. This setup, Kyle, is actually how I fell in love with pinball because I could see all these great players and actually what they were doing. And I was like, oh, wow, you can do that on pinball machines? I want to try that. So it was like awesome. A whole rabbit hole, from this show. So
yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah, qualifying just started.
Okay.
And then it goes on all day today and then tomorrow, all the way up until Sunday.
Man, that's a lot.
Oh, it's Julie Darson, Steve Bowden. You guys are live on Twitch on Marco PinTech Live. Good luck. Good luck.
This rules.
Yeah, great players. Steve Bowden. Making games with American Pinball now. Everyone's out here and super excited. Andrew Muscroft is amazing.
I've beaten Andre like a total of 2 times in pinball, and it made me feel like a champion. But
he's so cool. Yeah, he's super smart. So yeah, so this is like the big tournament area. There's like a bunch of games back there. There's the classics division. We have Project Pinball, of course. Sorry, I don't have a gimbal, so it's really. Oh, it's my kid. Hi. How are you?
All right.
There's Project Pinball.
I appreciate that.
They have a Rush.
Awesome.
They're doing a high scores tournament. And then they also have a Halloween CE.
Oh boy.
Things to go over before the tournament.
Look at that gold plating.
On
Yeah, that thing looks
DTM,
really
on the
good.
way,
That's
playing
cool.
Never Dreams on
But Rush looks awesome too. Dan has literally, since we set it up yesterday, he's been playing it nonstop.
Good man.
Every time I see him, all he's doing is playing Rush. Yeah, he's dropping in the money. So this is the free play area. I don't think the rest of the event opened up yet. So look at this.
Oh, wow.
Desolate.
Yeah.
So they're doing fighting game tournaments
Oh, neat.
here.
Are you going to enter?
I didn't really think about it, but if they have Soul Calibur, I'll enter.
Excellent.
I'll slay in Soul
Oh, that's super
Calibur.
cool.
So, yeah.
Fripp Flants, hello. Thank you for joining us all the way
So
across
this
the
is a
pond.
target man.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not there to do the show with y'all today, but
No,
it'll be
I'm
good.
glad that you're out there promoting pinball, you know?
Yep, we're doing our due diligence. So we'll be here all weekend. The IE Pinball stream goes live, I think, in about an hour or so. So if you guys can raid the IE Pinball afterwards, and you guys can watch these people play.
That's awesome.
Are there any
That's all I got.
or
That's awesome, man.
anything?
Well,
All
I'm
right,
glad
well,
that you were able
I
to
gotta
join
edit
us.
some content now. Yeah, thanks. Have a great show. Don't forget, everybody, we have our free shipping for orders over $99 for domestic and $10 off international shipping all the way through Sunday for everyone to get their pins ready for Valentine's Day. So the code is PINLOVE22. And then you can have date night in like 10 days
Yeah.
over pinball.
Play
Be
some
good.
pinball at home. Okay, well, thanks
Yeah.
for joining us, Emoto. We promise we won't burn the place down while you're gone. So have fun.
Yeah, I'll do great. All right, bye.
Bye.
The open or when while you're playing.
Okay. Oh, she ended the call herself. Okay. Are they? Yeah, I think there's something weird with Emoto and like making Zoom part of everything. Anywho, hey y'all. Can you guys let me know if my volume is okay now? I think I was being overpowered by Emoto, but I also might need to boost the gain just a teeny bit. Give me 1 sec. I need to remember how to do that. More volume. Okay, this is the guy that's the engineer. Okay, give me a sec. I'm going to adjust the gain up another 3 decibels. Okay, how about now? Is this better? If I project my voice a little bit more? Hello? How's it going? Pump up the volume. Sounds good. I'm getting conflicting messages, but everybody says sounds good now. Sounds good for now. Okay, great. What's up, y'all? Yeah, I need to move this camera. Since I don't have a moto, and Steve is very busy over there chatting with all y'all. Okay, cool. I'm going to be doing all the camera work and moving cameras and stuff. So, anywho, I don't remember who's streaming the tournament, Pinball Gramps, but the tournament is INDISC, an acronym for It Never Drains in Southern California. So that is how you can find that. I'm going to boost the gain one more time. Yeah, up a little bit more. IE Pinball. Okay, yeah, join them. It's a good. It's going to be pretty cool. It's a neat a neat tournament. It used to be held at the. That sounds better. Sounds better? Okay, Steve says it sounds good, so hopefully it's better for y'all. It used to be held at the Museum of Pinball in Banning, California. Unfortunately, that's gone now, so they're still making it happen, which is pretty cool. So, excellent. Okay, I'm glad y'all can hear me now, because this is going to be Kyle talking for 2 hours. How's it going? I just got back from doing another real long service call in Savannah, Georgia, so that was fun. Fixed a lot of games, beautified them quite a bit. Always fun to get out there and actually work on games. I did go home and I tried to play one of my own pinball machines, and I found that the spinner switch on my Xenon is now broken. So I'm going to try to fix it with some wire and some solder, since I don't want to actually replace the switch because I'm lazy. But I do want to play my own pinball machines now. I'm inspired because after last stream, I actually sat down and I played a little bit of this game with Steve and had a good time. I really like this game, but like I mentioned, once we actually finished working on the game, that doesn't mean you're done. There is a lot more adjustments and little teeny things you're going to need to do to a game. Even once you've considered the repair complete, the cosmetic portion is done, you will find things that are wrong. So I was thinking we'd kind of go over this game a little bit more today, and you'll probably never see this turd on this stream ever again, unless it breaks and we can do something else. One thing I do want to use it for, maybe one more time, is we will put a new back glass in it. I actually have a replacement back glass for this game. I just forgot to bring it today. So we'll do that at some point. But I was thinking one thing we could go over is installing a new lock, if I can get my tools to work around the lock cylinder up in the top of the head. When we played it, I did replace a lot of these stand-up switches. And when I replace these stand-up switches, they do end up needing to be adjusted a little bit. The foam that backs the switches are a little dense, and it does take either a little bit of pounding or some micro adjusting of the switch to get them to work. When I say pounding of the switch, the ball then bending and kind of compressing that foam a little bit, but we want to make sure that all of these targets on the side are we want them to have good action, right? If the ball glances over them, we want that to count, and that's important. There is a small caveat with Bally games like this, where I think we explained it a teeny bit, and please refer to that center camera, and we will find one. So this is what you might find on your unmolested Bally game, something that someone hasn't done a bunch of work on, but do you see this disc, this ceramic disc capacitor right here? The Bally system, for whatever reason, the switch matrix itself is a little slow. What it does is the computer is constantly pulsing each column of switches. I'm not going to explain the switch matrix, I'm just going to explain the intricacies of this. It's slow. This is an old computer. The computer is trying to control many things. And as it is pulsing each column, sometimes there is a chance for a very fast-moving ball to hit a switch when the computer is not focusing on that certain column at that time. This little capacitor is a 0.04, I believe, microfarad capacitor. It's a very small amount. If you go to our website and you type in Bally capacitor or Bally switch capacitor, it should come up. But these are very important. You'll find on a game like this, where the ball will have a quick action over a switch, that sometimes you may find that you swear you hit it, but it didn't count. And that is what these capacitors are for. It stores that charge, what the computer is looking for when it is scanning the switch matrix, and these make these switches a lot more responsive. You'll find that real common on games with stand-up targets, or this game, which has all of these rollovers. And just, you want to make sure that that slightest little glance when it's rolling over that bowling pin shape, they all count. Now, what you'll find, the reason this is a big deal is these things cause all sorts of problems. When the capacitors get old and they decide it's time to give up on life, generally they short closed. So what will happen is you have a switch that is permanently closed in switch test, or you will start a game and you will immediately gain a certain amount of points or something like that. So what would happen real common is like, well, I know this is causing the problem, so someone cuts them all the way off or snips one end, and then they just, no one ever replaced them. That being said, they just make the game play a lot better when they are functioning correctly. So if we look over here, I'm going to need to adjust the camera real quick. When I installed, actually no, I can just use this switch as an example. When I installed some new stand-up switches, I installed a new capacitor on each of these. This is important. For anyone in the future that's watching this video, those capacitors are important and you should put them back on. Borg Dog, are those worth adding to games like early Gottlieb's? No. It's not as necessary on that system, so I wouldn't waste your time. This is very specific to the Bally games in the way that the game pulses and looks at the switch matrix. Now you'll see up here, if we take a look at a rollover switch, those don't have the capacitors installed on them. And that's because generally the ball dwells on that switch a bit longer than a lot of these stand-up switches. Now, when I say the switch matrix is slow, I'm just going to put an arbitrary number on it. But again, the computer is kind of scanning each thing, like, let's say every half millisecond, it's looking at column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a period of a half millisecond each. Again, if a ball is coming real fast, it hits a target and it glances off, that could be too quick to have a good solid registration, and you might end up being cheated points that you very well deserve. On rollover switches, generally the ball sits on them a bit longer, so that's why we see these installed on the rollovers and on the stand-ups. Pinball Peanut, only one of those needed for switches in series though, right? Just the first one in series. No, every switch should have one of those little capacitors on it. Okay, Dent0123 says some machines have them on rollover switches. That's very well true. Maybe later on down the line, Bally realized that they needed them, but I see no evidence of them ever being installed on these rollovers. So is it going to hurt you to go in there with like a 2-cent, 3-cent capacitor and install them on every single switch? No. It'll just take time, but your game will perform really well. Anywho, this game actually does have some pretty responsive switches, especially since I've done the ones that are most crucial. But one thing I definitely noticed was I had some pretty crummy pop bumper action. And on this game, the pop bumpers are pretty crucial. And I did go in and replace all of the pop bumper bits of hardware, at least on the outside. Looking at this pop bumper in question, I think this is the one that I was having issue with. I didn't replace the switch or anything like that, but we did replace the spoon, the base, the body, etc. I'm going to try to get this camera set up in a way where we can see. Oh, I just broke the tripod thing. Give me a sec. Uh-oh, Moto's going to hate me, ruining all of our equipment. Let's look at the top of the game really quick so you can see what I'm talking about before we look at the underside. Let's see, how can I do this with one hand and being lazy? So left pop bumper, only like 2/3 or half of the skirt is accessible to be hit by the ball. This helps us in a way where what I'm about to tell you, it'll make sense. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that the area that the ball can touch will have good, crisp, fast pop bumper action. Thankfully, we only need to worry about like half of the skirt. That being said, I think some of the advice I've given y'all is to make sure that the stem of the skirt is in the center of the spoon. And that might make sense to you if you've ever done this before, but we have, if you see here, you've got, let me get a pointing device so I don't have to use my fat fingers. Let's use this genuine Bally Williams Midway screwdriver I have. We've got our skirt stem here. That's the bright white piece. I'm going to touch the skirt, or the skirt on top of the playfield, and you can see that move a little bit. So that's what's the ball, when the ball hits the skirt, that's what happens, right? That rides inside this spoon, which is slightly conical. And what we're talking about here is that as the skirt, which should sit at the point of this spoon, as soon as this starts moving, it's going to move upward, right? Because this is kind of an inverted cone. And what that will do is it will force the spoon, which is tensioned against the switch, so that top blade closes and makes contact with the bottom blade. Then when the game sees, hey, pop bumper switch has closed, It will then send a signal to the driver board to drive the transistor, which will work the pop bumper and send your ball flying. What we're looking for is to make sure that in every direction where the ball can hit the skirt that we have equal movement. I don't think I adjusted this last week, but I hope that this is kind of coming through. It's a strange angle. It probably would be better if you saw it from my end. But what I can kind of see here, since I can actually see a shadow, it looks like the spoon is, the skirt is centered in the spoon. What I want to do now, though, is as I push it from the side, I can see, like, if I put just the slightest amount of pressure on it, what it looks like to me is that there's actually not enough tension up against the skirt. I can push the skirt very lightly, and I can see the actual skirt moving on the spoon, but the entire thing isn't moving until I put more pressure on. This is okay, but what I think we might be able to do is adjust a little bit more tension into that switch, if that makes sense. We're going to put more tension onto, from this switch here, against the spoon. That will then hold it tighter against the skirt, which should allow, whenever the ball makes a small touch here, to start moving immediately, to give us that hot pop bumper action. Things to be careful about, definitely you do not want to put too much tension against the spoon. If you put too much tension against the spoon, and thus the stem of the skirt, you will put, it'll take more pressure to move the skirt, right? Does that make sense? If that little teeny switch is holding that skirt hostage, you know, you're going to have to hit the skirt with more force to get the whole thing to move. So, did I clean the, oh, I thought that said, it's just dirty, but there's no grease inside of it. When I took it apart, I cleaned the inside of the spoon out. I didn't replace the spoons because they didn't have holes in them. A lot of the times, I prefer to run original parts when I can, to an extent, right? A reproduction part is fine. A reproduction part can have differences from originals sometimes, but there's really not a lot of wear that goes on these spoons. So in my wheelhouse, like, I don't replace things unless I need to replace things. I don't replace things just for the sake of replacing them, if that makes sense. What you will find, though, on heavily trafficked games or games that have a lot of pop bumper action, you will get holes in the center of the spoon. And that will mean that the skirt will kind of strike through it, and then it won't do anything. OK, I'm going to stop talking and start doing. We're going to put, honestly, what I like to do with pop bumper stuff, especially when we're doing rough adjustments, just use your finger. One thing, definitely make sure you do not work on pop bumpers with the power on. It is your prerogative to work on a game with the power on or not, to know what is safe and what is not safe to do while the power's on. If you're unsure, power the game off. The reason I mention that here, I guess we actually have this framed up well. We have 24 volts here, or whatever voltage these coils run on. We've got more than 5 volts on the coil. We have our switch matrix, which runs off of 5 volts. It is very, 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 very easy to accidentally hit with your finger or a tool and connect more than 5 volts to where only 5 volts should be, and that blows up switch drivers, and that's a giant pain in the butt. So most of the time, I would very much recommend, whether you are a beginner, somewhere in the middle, or even something higher than that, just turn the game off when you're working on pop bumpers. You'll end up saving yourself a lot of work. So, that being said, I will adjust this with my finger. There is not a lot of science to switch adjustment. The reason I'm doing this with my finger is I am just trying to apply tension on that metal blade upward. We don't need an adjuster to do that unless it's in an awkward place, but doing that should give me a little bit more pressure against the switch. Looking at it from the side, and definitely this is something that takes a lot of your senses, right? Basically everything other than smell and taste, but using your eyes and feeling, right? I'm sitting over here almost parallel with where this switch is, and I'm looking at the gap. I'm now pushing on it with my fingers, and I am watching. That actually cleaned up a little bit, but now I kind of see that the spoon is not perfectly centered, and we can make micro adjustments on that, and that might be where we're at next. But I'm using my finger and slowly pushing on every angle to make sure that, every bit of degree, from 1 to 180 on our 360-degree wheel, that we are getting movement. That is how we ensure that we have no dead spots on the pop bumper. I noticed that from the top, we have like 1-to-1 perfect movement. As I move down, it takes a little bit more a little bit more pressure to move out of that dead space. So what I can see is I think I need to move the switch down. Having light is really handy when you're doing this. I can actually see the shadow of the spoon. I'm sorry, I can see the shadow of the stem in the spoon, and it's not perfectly lined up with the middle. So I'm going to grab my screwdriver here. I'm going to back this up so you have a little bit better of a view. You can't tell with the screws in, but these are elongated or oval holes. So these can be loosened and then micro adjusted up, down, left, and right to an extent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of hold it in place so it doesn't just, immediately move. And loosen it gently. I'm going to kind of try to get back into position. Sorry, my hand's in the way. Let me see if I can do this so y'all can see. That looks better just from the shadow. So I'm just going to snug it up a little bit. These are the things that can definitely take longer than your repairs and your cosmetic work. That's not bad. I'm going to try to tension it out a little more. At this point, if I can't get any more tension into the switch, I will use my switch adjuster. I think it just moved again. Hold on. This is the stuff that just takes so much time to get it just perfect. A lot of the time when I finish a customer's game, I do like to keep it around for a few days, play it a bunch, make sure that there are, you worked out all the bugs, but also as new parts wear in and they start to get a little looser from, just being played and beat on, little switch adjustments do come up. Let's see. That's better. That's actually a lot nicer. The problem I have now is, you know what? I don't think it's screwed all the way down. What I was noticing is that the actual gap of the switches is now very close, but since I didn't adjust the other one, I just want to make sure this is tight before we make any adjustments. Another thing to do if you're having trouble adjusting switches is make sure that the actual switch stack is tight itself. So make sure that the switch is tight to the bracket. I got about a quarter turn out of that one and almost nothing out of the top, but that can kind of bite you in the ass too. Let's see here. You know what? That's not better. Let's take it off. Let's see what we got.
You said a swear?
Oh, I did? What did I say?
I don't know how my meatloaf said you said a swear.
Oh, I said the A word.
Oh, what?
Whatever.
You gotta keep it clean, Kyle.
That's radio language. You can say that on the radio. Does that one count? Do we have to go in? Sorry. I'm going to take the whole switch off. Let's see what we've got. So I did clean the gunk off. Is that a divot that I did not notice before? That's very possible. I'm going to use the power of technology. That doesn't look like a divot to me. It looks like a proper spoon hole. While I have this off, I am going to use my tool now to actually adjust the tension against the spoon just a little tighter instead of using my finger. What I'm going to do is try to apply tension as close to the base of the stack as I can. That way we maintain the shape of the switch, right? If we put a big kink in the front of this switch, right, where the contacts are, it's going to make it a lot more difficult to adjust the bottom switch to make contact. So we want to try to bend it up towards the back side, and that helps put a healthy amount of tension on this actual spoon. So. I do think the things I do remember having to do off camera, so Steve and I could enjoy a quick game of strikes and spares before we left last week, was I did have to run very gently my flex stone through almost all of the rollover switches for the star rollovers on this game. Once I did that, they responded much better. It's a very important part of the game, knocking down all the pins, etc., because that is what you do when you're bowling. Let's see, the camera's kind of in the way, so I'm going to go work on this side now. Let's see what we can get. It's hard to do. I wish the spoons were clear sometimes so you could really see where the tip of the skirt is. Sometimes when I've had trouble with this, especially on games that are extremely difficult to work on the pop bumpers, like Fishtails or Doctor Who, or wait, Fishtails. Does Fishtails have pop bumpers? I'm thinking of Doctor Who. I think that's the game that I curse all the time. You know, all the pop bumpers are in the bottom back corner, and that thing doesn't, like, you know, that playfield doesn't really lift out. But sometimes I'll put a bit of Sharpie at the bottom of the actual skirt. So then I can, with light, see that black dot in the center of the spoon to help everything, you know, line up well. Anywho, actually that's a lot better now that I've adjusted way more tension into the spoon. It's actually brilliant. I'm going to make sure that's tightened down now, and I'll get the camera adjusted so we can do a bit of switch adjusting to make sure that the contacts are nice and tight. So we have good pop bumper action. Oh God, I broke it again. How do I lower this whole thing? I can't. Okay, this is the best angle y'all are gonna get. Let's see. That's okay. Look at all these people talking. Oh, look at Marco called me a, I'm gonna talk to HR about that. Oh wait. Does that translate at all? It might be hard to see the gap. I probably need to hold this thing myself, and maybe I will once I adjust it. But what we're looking for now is, again, using that radius of 180 degrees or so where the ball can actually hit this skirt. I'm going to push it very gently, and I have good range of motion in almost every spot. So that's fantastic. We're going to have a good hot acting pop bumper. And honestly, the gap looks pretty good to me. I only have to apply a little bit of pressure for the contacts to work, and that's how you get those really active pops that we're looking for. Let me, can I lower this? Yeah, I guess if I squish the base, I could lower it somewhere. All right. I'm going to try to get this in focus so y'all can see. It's hard. Bear with me, please. You can kind of see the contacts, right? I'm going to start at the bottom, and as I move my finger around, I'm just looking for those things to make contact in every single position. We don't want them to be too close, because sometimes the vibration of the entire assembly moving can cause, you know, a little bit of wiggle, and then these can shut, and then you'll get a pop bumper that kind of machine guns. But that being said, this is good. This pop bumper has 360-degree range of motion, and it's quite dead at the top. It's very good at the bottom. I'm going to adjust this one. I'll give you a camera angle, but we're going to kind of rush through these ones really quick. But once you do one, you kind of get the feel for the rest. So it does take practice. This is one of those things that is very tactile. And doing it over and over and over again helps you get that sweet pop bumper action. I'm going to keep using that. Actually, I'm going to get that tattooed on me somewhere. Let's see. Because I'm that kind of a weirdo. So that is centered if I put it there. So I'm going to try to hold this in position. Actually, you know what? I think all of these do require a bit of a retention. So especially with new parts, since we've changed one part of it, it makes sense that it might need a little bit more oomph getting back up and touching the skirt.
Everybody's really admiring your camera work.
I wish Emoto was here to see my camera work. Thank you. Actually, Emoto said that I've gotten okay at that, and that makes me feel good because she's an incredible cinematographer. So coming from her and you guys, all these wonderful viewers that join us every week, means a lot. Yeah, that's bitchin'. Oh, crap. I only have one more time before I'm straight fired. I mean, I guess I used it as a endearing word, right? Not a insult, so I get half credit. I'm going to back this off a little bit. I do find, and I'll be 100% honest, a lot of the time when I am working on pop bumper switches, I use my fingers more than anything else. I use my fingers to push down. What I find, it's a lot easier for me to work on these things when I close the gap 100% by pushing on the switch and getting them to touch, taking my switch adjuster and then adjusting out the tensioning blade a little bit. I don't know if there's science to it or not. You know, metal has memory, etc. But I find that adjusting them closed and making them tight, and then loosening the grip on the tensioning blade out, that is much easier to adjust, as opposed to trying to tension them inward and get it perfect, if that makes sense. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. But that's kind of what I'm doing here. So that's why I'm like pushing it on it with my finger and then grabbing my tool here. But that one looks like it's adjusted okay as well, except for in that position where it is kind of getting stuck. If I get it there is the... Okay, we'll mess with that one. Let me check this one, which is going to be almost identical to the left pop bumper, just a little bit just mirrored. So I'm going to adjust that in. I'm going to pull this out. It's a little too far away for me. I want to bring it in once more. Pull it out just a butt hair. And again, and you know what? Let me also pull this up. I'm going to see if I have a pop bumper switch. Actually, it would be easier to show the left side one. I want to also show that I'm not adjusting the switch. I'm adjusting the tensioning blade. So take a look at this. We'll look at some switch construction. So on this pop bumper switch, which is just a signal switch, this isn't direct drive like it would be on an EM, meaning that closing the switches is providing voltage to the coil. We've got 3 blades. Oh, hold on. I need my poker. Steve, will you let me know when someone redeems the hydrate? I'm sure Colin's already done it.
There was one at the outset.
Okay, hold on.
Nobody has redeemed it recently.
I have hydrated just off camera.
Oh, but we just used one.
All right.
Someone just used one.
Oh, God. Okay.
They're rolling in, bro.
All right. Well, you might need to get me another beverage and leave it on the floor. I'll come retrieve it. We've got 3 blades. We've got one switch blade with a contact, our upper blade, which makes tension against the spoon. We then have a spacer. We have another blade with a contact. And then we've got a very thick, compared to these blades, it's very thick, but this is what we'd call our tensioning blade. Generally, you don't want to adjust the actual switch blade itself. We want to adjust the tensioning blade, which holds its shape better and allows us to dictate like the home position of the switch once it comes back to rest. We adjust this switch up to provide nice constant pressure against the spoon. We would then adjust this switch down against the tensioning blade. So now when we move this tensioning blade, that is what's holding this switch into position. So make sure when you're adjusting these things to do micro adjustments on this blade here and not this skinny one here. Did that come through? Did you all see it? I don't know. I have the Gottlieb version. I'm not sure what switch you're talking about, but Gottlieb definitely did their switches different. I think actually while I'm sitting next to my toolbox, here's a Williams pop bumper switch from a 1980s game. Let me move this camera and we can observe this and kind of see the difference here. So this switch has a lot more going on, right? It's also in much worse shape for wear. We have basically a copy of what we just looked at on the Bally. We have our spoon, switch, tensioning blade. Williams did this different. Williams did this. This is a switch that sends a signal to the computer that we have a pop bumper hit. And now the computer goes in and processes the signal to drive a transistor to drive the pop bumper. We have another switch down here. This switch here is the scoring switch. I do not know why Williams did it this way. There must have been a reason. But what would happen is this switch just controls the action of the coil. And as the entire mechanism comes down, the what's it called? Like this big fiber washer, right? The yoke, which would be different on a Williams game. But that would come down and it would then close this switch, which would score. So there are certain conditions where you could have like perfect pop bumper actions on a Williams game, but also not score anything. So David Yop said that the special solenoids are a faster response. Yeah, basically the computer has to be ready to send a signal to a solenoid. Williams decided to give 6 solenoids the term special, and they basically didn't have to wait in line for the computer to figure out what the heck to do with them. So on Williams games, generally like 3 pop bumpers, 2 slingshots, and other things would be your special solenoid. Sometimes that would be a kickback or something like that, you know, like on Firepower has a kickback, right? I'm trying to think of the older games that use that system. But also, they brought them forward into System 11 too. So like all of your late games will also have a set of special solenoids as well. Just part of the way that their architecture worked. So anywho, that should be good now. Let's also talk about rollovers too. Let's use a outlane switch as an example because it's going to be the easiest to film. But let's talk about, and this advice actually applies to all pinball. This is not just in the realm of Bally, but you know, you've figured out switch test, right? You know how to get in there and test for a broken switch, but maybe you've gotten to a point now where, hey, I have a game that the switch is functioning in test, but it's not functioning in game, right? It's not functioning in the gameplay environment. That is impossible. For the most part, but there could be a reason why. I'm trying to frame this up perfectly. Also, David Yop, hello. I'm so happy you've joined us once again. I think once I run out of things to talk about, I'm just going to keep installing more of light boards on this game. So you guys get a teeny bit of view of the behind the scenes here. I'm hoping the autofocus will kind of work. Let me jump up to the TV to see if this works. It's focusing on the wrong thing. Hold on. I can adjust this, I think. Actually, I don't want to do that. Sorry. Maybe if I turn the light off, it will be easier for it to focus on the entire thing. That's not so bad. Can we see what's going on here? Okay, no, I'm going to focus in. Sorry, y'all. Give me a sec. Y'all want me to raffle off my beloved pinball machines that I can't afford to buy anymore? It's mean. you all are very welcome to come join me in Columbia, South Carolina, and we could play all my silly old games, but I don't sell pinball games anymore. Is this focus going to do something? Man, Emoto's so good at this. Yeah, David, I think that's a good idea. I'm going to leave it on autofocus. Actually, did that camera crash or something? No. OK, well, we're going to leave it alone. There it goes. It was autofocusing again. Oh, man, where's Emoto when you need her? I'm sorry, y'all. You know what? Hell with it. This one's actually in focus and the front one isn't. OK, so as I actuate the rollover, we can see, right, the ball hits the wire pushes down on this, the switch, and the switch closes, right? Super simple. You might come into a situation where you want to test all your switches or something like that. The best advice I can give you is to always use a ball when you are testing for switch action, right? Because that replicates one-to-one what the actual gameplay is going to be like, right? So as I roll the ball through the in lane, let's look at the actuation of that switch. It touches just perfectly. You get a teeny bit of bend on the stationary side of the switch. That's handy dandy, right? That's perfect. Now let me use my finger. Do you see how much further that switch actuator comes through and how much more bend we get on the stationary side of the switch? You know, even though our fingers are generally not fatty parts of our body, we do have a lot of skin. And when we use our finger to push down on this wire actuator, our finger will form down into that switch routed cutout, and this will push and actuate the switch further. There have been a lot of times where I'm teaching people, or when I was used to volunteer at the Pacific Pinball Museum, and we'd have beginners come in and learn and try to adjust switches and stuff like that. It would work plenty fine when they used their finger, but when they played the game, the thing wouldn't work. Always use a ball. That is a much more realistic one-to-one representation of what will actually happen. That's something that you just keep that in your head as you start adjusting these things. It will save you a lot of head scratching later on, if that makes sense. Fat fingers. Who has fat fingers? Me? Probably. Now I'm going to see if I can get this thing set to autofocus again. Oh, it is. OK, cool. So yeah, those are two things I find pretty important when it comes to like adjusting switches. We can also apply that to like these star rollovers. I'm not going to try to get the camera in here because we can't get a great angle, but I could sit here and punch them with my finger all day and they'll actuate perfectly. But using a ball to actually actuate the switch is just, again, best practice, much better to get realistic results. So when you are adjusting switches, don't go like ham wild. Use a little bit of finesse. Be gentle. You can like really start to bend and mangle those switch blades pretty hard, and that can cause them to just become increasingly harder to adjust as you keep, as the game ages and you need to move and adjust things. So let's take a view of the pop bumpers. Dankeschön. Let's fire the game up and we will see if those pop bumpers suck or not.
Pop or not.
Sith, I think I might be a Sith too, just because I deal in absolutes, and I also am not brainwashed in the way I feel the Jedi are brainwashed, I don't know. Yeah, and you guys are funny. OK, let's start a game. Got a light out. That's annoying. But let's bring this thing around. Oh, that was crummy. Oh, look at that. That's what we want to see. We want to see just the slightest glance of that skirt send the ball flying. You'll find, if you notice this, like think about this. Think about some games maybe you have in your collection. Maybe think about games that you like to play. But for example, a lot of games don't have an exposed bottom of the pop bumper, right? There's nothing surrounding this bumper. A lot of times, like Pinball Design will throw pop bumpers into a little garden, but they will segregate them to a small section of the game for some concise action. Here we have a very exposed bottom of the bumper, or skirt rather. You'll find a lot of times on games that have very exposed skirts like this that they just get beat to heck and they will be destroyed down here. Also, you'll find a lot of times with games like this where they have that exposed bottom that they will become very much out of adjustment in this area. I think the constant pounding and that extra force that the ball sends into the skirt do end up throwing this side out of adjustment and micro-adjusting or wearing the spoon in a very certain direction. Like for example, here, unfortunately, Godzilla and Jack in the Box are terrible examples because they have strange pop bumpers, but let's use Rush for example, right? This is a very classically designed game where we have 3 pop bumpers, in a little garden over here. And you can see that there's maybe only a few degrees where the ball can like directly hit it. We're looking for glances or a not clean shot through this area for the orbit to give you some pop bumper action. You don't see a lot of exposed bumpers. That's just what I'm trying to say. So it seems to be a real common thing on early Bally games and especially older Gottlieb games, but at least in modern design, like 1990 forward, you just don't see that a lot. Anyways, I'm happy with this. Let's see. Just the lightest touch is going to give us some action. I love that. That rules. It was especially dead from here, I remember when we were playing before, so that's good. We get a nice hit, all sides, it sends the ball flying. That rules. While we have the game on, I wonder if the ball will ever drain. Okay. Let's test all these stand-ups too. And again, let's test it with a ball. If I hit them with my finger, I'm going to be able to put enough pressure to compress that foam and make a connection, right? That took a lot of pressure. If we glance the ball off of this E, let me adjust the camera down. Whee. And this is just the kind of stuff you need to do to make the game play just that much better. It'll work just fine in most applications, but when you get that, you ever hit something and you feel cheated because it didn't count, it didn't hit it hard enough? Well, I always want to adjust my game so they're just close enough so you never feel cheated. That was actually a lot easier to do with a ball than my finger. The R is a little stiff. I'm going to mess with that one. The A. That one seemed okay. I'm hitting it really light now. The P. These targets are really important. When you get a spare, wait, what do the spares do? It's the strikes that actually get you points. So I think when you complete a whole group, you get a strike. The spares, when you build spares up, I think that's what counts towards extra balls. Making spare, the first time lights the return lane for an extra ball, second time lights the out lanes for a special. So these are important. You want to be able to hit these because getting an extra ball is great. That one could probably use some love. I keep missing, but let's take a look. Let's also check this 500 pointer over here. That one you kind of can actually hit. I don't know why anyone would aim for 500 points, but I also want it to score nicely. So just while we're here, let's just test everything else, right? That works. That works. That works. That's okay. The pop bump or the slingshots seem to have good action all the way around. We want the slightest glance to give us action down here too. That's what makes pinball exciting. Yes. All right, I like that. And then we've got 3 more up here. 1, 2, 3. Let's make sure the saucer also catches the ball. Those can be a pain to adjust. Okay, I think we just have to deal with some stand-ups and we'll be good. I'm going to do this with the game off. This one, it might be a bit harder to show what I'm doing just because the actual contacts are above the game, but just try to imagine it in your head. They basically look the same as the pop bumper switches, just standing vertically. So I'm sorry, I'm going to read the chat now. Yeah, new rubber on games is great. I like our rubber. I'm going to totally shill for the PRW rubber that we sell. It rules. It is super bouncy and awesome. I personally like white rubber way, almost 100% of the time over black rubbers just because of the extra bounciness. They just play better to me, and I enjoy the extra action. I also find that black rubber, as it degrades, it makes games a lot dirtier, a lot faster, and black rubber definitely has a less bounce factor. Who should I thank? Heck yeah. Cool, hey, thanks for telling us we're killing the game. And thanks for joining us, trying to spread some knowledge, you know? This is easier to do with light, and I don't have light. I don't have my, my clip-on light or anything like that. But what we're looking for, and honestly, I'm going to do this with the game on. I can get light from the GI above it. There's also not solenoid voltage around here, but please, if you're not comfortable, use discretion when adjusting switches with the power of the game on. But what I'm looking for is I'm going to use my finger up here. Man, that thing is adjusted actually like danger close. What would happen if a switch was just like permanently stuck shut? Generally, when the game goes live and the computer starts looking for playfield switches, you would immediately grab some points, and then it would never score again because the switch isn't actually changing states, right? So we are missing Emoto, even though she's here, but we miss Emoto. I miss Emoto. I'm gonna bend this switchblade just a teeny bit. I'm gonna use my favorite patented phrase, just a butt hair. We're going to try to build the gap just a teeny bit. We need a teeny gap because again, we want these. We need to find like a good medium between these things being. We don't want to be cheated out of points, right? So we want the ball to be able to glance it and grab some points, but we also do not want to adjust them too close, where they might be seen stuck by the game, or also too far where you'll never ever get a point from them. This one's actually really far away.
Why did you send a rollover out?
Because it's got a crappy lamp socket. I'll work on doing some custom Yopsicle installation on these rollovers at some point. I'll clean that socket. I'll see if I can get it to work.
Jody said that the conversion is half a butt hair is a red butt hair.
Okay. Thank you for, I'm glad that you know that measurement system. And there's really no right or wrong way to do this. There's definitely best practices and things you want to try to do, but it really is a lot of trial and error to get switches in the right spot. I mean, there are definitely better ways to adjust things like an end of stroke switch, and we've talked about this. We've talked about this many times, like getting a little bit of wipe in the switch and adjusting them in that manner. But with stand-up switches, we're just trying to look for good contact. So that seems better to me. I'm going to put this thing in lamp test. I'm going to try to get this center one going just because you can see, I mean, this is why I say, right, like lazy lamp sockets, they get like 1 or 2 chances and then just replace them, or you're going to be chasing these issues forever. We very briefly mentioned last week like why I didn't install the Yopsicle in that position, and that is just because the shape of it makes it a little difficult to install in this application. And we should work on something for this, David, if you're still around. But what we have is, the LED is inset a bit on the board here. And what we run into is if there is no way for me to really mount this like cleanly without interfering with the switch. And that's okay. There are obstacles to every bit of custom modification, but 99% of applications on your old Bally or Stern game, these work perfectly. I think in the future, we'll probably have something great for that as well. Take a look over here. We can see, now, okay, let's talk about this too. These lights look kind of dim. They might not come through super well on the camera, but they are kind of dim. And, oh wow, this camera does not want to focus at all. Remember that we are pulsing like 30-something lamps at the same time, all off of one, 6-volt circuit, right? They will be much brighter in actual gameplay. There's no actual time when all of these things will be lit at the same time. So that being said, don't fret when you put your game in lamp test and see that they are a bit dim. That won't be the actual way they function. But I can definitely see that these 5 here and that one are super lazy. The shoot again light, I think that's the shoot again light. No, that's the 20,000 bonus light, is also quite dim, especially when you have the LED boards in place. I want to keep playing. Let's give the game a quick flip, see what it plays like. If I'm happy, then maybe we'll just go to extended Q&A and kind of work on some little issues. I'll be installing some more Yopsicles as we go along. Yeah. If that sounds entertaining. I thought I took my socket cleaning stick out. What did I do with it? There it is. Everyone needs a good set of switch adjusters. Buy 2, because you'll probably blow your first set out. And sometimes, actually, I like them when they get blown out. Let me show you what I mean. This one sucks, but it's like the best switch adjuster I have. It's also one that I've had forever. So like our switch adjuster set rules, don't buy them individually, just buy the entire set because you get all 3 flavors. But like this is a real old one. Look at that. Look at how look how wide those slots are. It's like it's very worn. Where this is a perfect new one that is very tight and precise. Sometimes you don't want them to be super precise like this. Sometimes the best switch adjuster, this one's my favorite, is one that is rather blown out. It allows you to get into places sometimes that these get a little bit grumpier at, or when you're working with thicker switch blades on older pinball games or end-of-stroke switches. So, as you use them, when they get like this, don't throw them away. You might actually find this to be a very, very valuable tool as they wear. So the switch adjuster set we have has like 3 flavors. There's like a 90-degree bend one, and then there's one with like this dog leg that is offset, which rules. It can be very handy. So. That's a good tip dent, 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you could clip like alligator clips to your voltmeter and diode mode and attach those to the leads of the switch. So then when it actually closes, you get an audible beep, and that can be really handy for making sure your switches are actually closing. This one's dirty too. I'm going to replace that one eventually, but let me just give it I'll put a Yopsicle in there, but let me, the more I clean this game up, the more like stoked I am on it. Like, even though it's really ugly, it plays really, really good. And now that all the lights are becoming like reliable and they're not ugly anymore, like you can turn a pretty ugly game into something really nice with just a lot of elbow grease and TLC. So I turned the game off because it is kind of a pain in the butt to get Bally games out of the test mode. You have to scroll through like a bazillion menus before you get to the reset state. The other thing I wanted to check on this too was my slam tilt switch didn't work. And I really like slam tilt switches because if I'm in the middle of the game or something like that, I can just like, thwap this slam tilt and then it will end. So. Let's see, can I adjust this so you can actually see the whole play field? I guess it doesn't matter. We just need to see the portion that like actually has action. Does the LED stick flicker in old games? No, they don't. The way that these boards were designed is they have a, let me grab one. They have a load resistor built in. So you can use these with a aftermarket lamp driver board that's set up to use LEDs. You can use them with the flicker eliminator adapters if you don't replace all of your sockets with these, or you can just use them with the stock drive. I think that was my favorite thing when I was talking with the designer of these LED sticks, was to really make sure that they would work for the original hardware, So that's great. I have some, the creator of these sticks, he actually sent me a bunch of some prototype ones way back in the day. And he left holes in them so you could install resistors if necessary. So again, this is an old prototype board, but I'm not going to send them to waste. These ones also had a fixed hole. If you notice, the modern for sale ones have a really nice slotted hole. So you have a bit of adjustment to get the, sorry about the focus. So you can get this like situated exactly and center it perfectly in the insert. But I'll just install some like 500 or 1,000 ohm resistors in circuit for this, and they'll work fine, no flicker. Also, I know people redeemed some hydrates, so beverage. Yeah, Rob, the Yopsicle. Steve put the link in there. The creator of those has a great name, David Yop. Thank you. Pinball ball. Yeah, it's almost like sandpaper, but what this does, let me get some of the crap lamp sockets I took out. What this thing does is, it is rough to kind of rough things up, but usually the problem with these lamp sockets is you get crap built up here. This nipple on the bottom of the lamp socket is connected to the center pin in here. That's where the bottom of the lamp touches. This is the other conductor, right? So you've got voltage coming here, which makes this live with 6 volts, and you've got a path to ground connected here. When crap builds up on this guy, they don't work anymore. But what this stick allows you to do, hold on. I'm going to use this camera because it'll focus a little better. Top right corner for those of y'all. When I push that stick in, do you see how the plunger kind of comes out? What that ends up doing is it allows you to really get in here and work the crap off of that plunger. So the action I'll use, sometimes if I've got a bunch of crappy sockets, I'll actually throw this thing in my drill. And then I will put it inside the lamp socket and just go, and what that'll do is you push and you twist at the same time. That action will work on taking some of the crap off of the plunger, but yeah. Anyways, that's what it's for. It's not, for a long time before I really understood what was going on, I thought it was just roughing up the inside of the barrel, and that's not what it's for. Anyways, let's kick the ball around a little bit. Got a lazy lamp socket there. Usually the general illumination sockets aren't the problem, but that one's annoying. That's a real important shot, that saucer, because it gives you It adds your bonus up. I need to check my dip switch settings. I do like games that score higher. I might want to turn on like a bonus holdover on this game. Maybe at least the multiplier holdover. It's not super easy to get your multipliers up. And I think this game will go all the way up to 10 or 8x. There we go. Decent amount of bonus here. The neat thing is that saucer also scores your strike value. So if I continue working on the actual bowling pins in the center of the game, that adds a strike value. So now, when I shoot it into this saucer, I'll score 5,000 plus adding 3 bonus. I think the strikes hold over game to game. This is kind of a fun bit. That's kind of the fun part of this game is you've got a decent amount of risk reward in the sense that if you're trying to shoot for these guys, you might hit this pop bumper and have it send it straight back at you real quick. But trying to clear this to build up your strikes is a fun way to score because it's also quite easy to get into that saucer. So that's kind of the thing I really like about these old Bally games is you've got like 2 or 3 different ways to score or 2 kind of different objectives to reap the rewards the best way possible. One more time. Oh, come on. I like that though. The spares are a lot easier to collect now. And that's why I love this game so much. I love any game with a spinner and chimes, especially solid state games with spinners and chimes. Can I post pass? Whoop. So yeah, shoot, I'm quite happy. Good action, everything works. The flippers are really strong. Oh, it feels good. That spinner's also not in bad shape either. I actually might want to Mylar that spinner to keep it from wearing anymore, but
25 hydrates.
That's a lot of hydrates. I'm screwed. So yeah, that's strikes and spares. We might play this game one day if we do an after hours or something, but that's all it takes, right? A little bit of hard work, and it's just spending some time with it, playing it, working out the little gremlins. I'm sure that I will find more gremlins as time moves on, but I would be really happy to deliver this to a customer in this state. 99% of its functionality is there. It's perfect. I've adjusted everything. It's good to go. Let's address the flippers too. So I think Emoto and I spoke about this. She's like, "Are you going to rebuild the flippers?" And I was like, "No." She's like, "Why?" Well, you don't always have to rebuild flippers, especially these flippers. There is something about this older era of Bally flippers. So I think these flippers were used on every Bally game from like the 70s up until Rolling Stones. Rolling Stones was the first game to use the linear flipper. But these things they don't really wear out. The wear components on these flippers is if you notice, right? I mean, look at the materials used in this flipper setup, right? Metal, a metal pin, a metal pawl, and a fiberboard link. It's designed on purpose to be the weak point, right? That is the part that will wear out before anything. When I look at this flipper, I don't feel the need to rebuild it because, first off, they were performing just fine. There's no reason for me to touch these. But, the real nitty-gritty of it is, and that's the funny thing too, though. Look at all that free play. There's actually a lot of free play. You've got a millimeter or two here, and then there's actually a bit around here as well. But isn't it funny? It's not translated, right? When I play this game, these flippers do not seem sloppy. If I just walked up to this thing and if I knew that they were like that, I probably wouldn't have gone into that tirade as confident as I was. But you look at this and that looks like it's worn out. But then you play the game and it's fine. Be the judge of that, right? There's no point to rebuild them if they actually work okay. Maybe the best bit of preventative maintenance, especially if this was going on location or if this was going to a customer's house, I would probably install new end of stroke switches, and that's about it. These are worn since it's my game and I know how to work on them. it doesn't bother me. I can get in there and I could clean them up or replace them when I need to. But if this was a customer's game, you know, that might be all I would actually do. Let's see if this one is equally as sloppy. Kinda. I don't know, but they play fine, especially in the design of this game, right? I think we find, and we've kind of had it like bashed into our head, that flippers always need to be rebuilt because we're dealing with games that have these really long ramps, and the flippers need to make these like really, really crazy shots where, I mean, what does this game need to do, right? Send the ball up around an orbit or something like that? I don't know. Be the judge yourself, but I don't feel the need to do that on this game. And it's not just because I'm trying to cut costs, it's just, why? Anywho, I'm going to spend a second and try to figure out why the slam tilt switch doesn't work. Let's go through that troubleshooting really quick. This is just me being neurotic. You don't really need your slam tilt switch to work. I just personally, I like them. Oh, and I need to chug, sorry. Not chug, but Obi says he's with me. They feel better with some wear in the crank. Sometimes. I mean, look, like, you'll notice it right away on a modern Stern or a 80 System 11 and forward like Williams game when the flippers start to get worn out. But just for some reason, like, these old Bally games can really take a beating before they start to feel like crap. So let's start a game. There's two kinds of tilts in a pinball. You've got like your plumb bob tilt, which will generally, we'll talk about Bally games, and we won't bring anything else in because it can get complicated. But in a Bally game, your plumb bob tilt will generally end your ball in play, no bonus, pass go, don't collect $200, whatever. Then you've got three other tilts, right? On a Bally game, you'll have a slam tilt switch on the playfield. This will kill the game. That is there to keep you from really treating the game like crap. You know, pushing the game around is not treating the game like crap. That is there to keep you from, from sliding the game all over the place and taking advantage of the game. This is to protect the actual game. You've got your, actually I'm going to change cameras, hold on. Will this one focus at all? Maybe. It might be set to not focus, but you'll get the picture. Yeah, this is kind of okay. You've got your, oh shit, oh crap, what was that? A pop bumper, so it's adjusted kind of close. You've got your roll tilt here. This is to keep people from throwing the game up on a bunch of like coasters or something like that. There'd be a small 15/16 ball in here that when it rolled all the way to the end, it would close that, and that would count as a slam tilt. It would kill the game, no refunds, no points, no nothing. There's your plumb bob, that's your standard tilt. You've got another slam tilt here, so for, again, rough play on the cabinet, up and down. And then you've got your coin door slam tilt. This one is to keep nefarious characters from pounding on the coin door to either try to receive free credits, etc. So that is those are your, but you've got two very separate things. This ends the ball in play and keeps you from, sliding the game around too much. These keep you from actually abusing the game. So when I'm talking about slam tilt, that's what I mean. Let me switch the cameras back, and we're going to see why they work or do not work.
Marco said you guys ranked 4, 5, and 6.
What do you say?
4, 5, and 6.
Sorry, Marco. Yeah, just fire me now. So we're in a game. It's active. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to close the slam tilt switch, and what should happen is the computer should reboot. I get nothing. I'm going to kind of scrape off one of the contacts here and see if it's just a really dirty switch. I got nothing. Okay. I've also tried to unplug and replug in the coin door connector. That doesn't change states. Let's try the in the cabinet slam tilt. It does nothing. And the on the playfield one, that did something. It killed the game. Oh, that's interesting. Hold on. Okay, so the one on the playfield actually counts as like a playfield tilt, or a plumb bob tilt. And I think the reasoning behind that is that this one is there to keep you from like rocking the game side to side if the playfield tilt didn't catch that for whatever reason. I always assumed on most Bally games that this was a insta-kill switch. So we could refer to our manual, but really quick, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look here and look at the colors of the wires. I've got like red, brown, maybe that's red, green. I think that used to be red, green. And I've got straight yellow. So let's jump into the computer real quick and let's look at that connector. It was a real common thing for operators to disable slam tilts for whatever reason. They would also disable slam tilts when they would sell them into homes. And this game was one of those games that definitely went into a home real quick. The guy that I bought this from, his father purchased it from an operator in like 1982, and it has been in their family ever since until he sold it to me. So on Bally games, we've got these are our playfield switches. And these are our cabinet switches. They separated them. I think maybe I got that backwards. Or maybe the slam tilt's part of the matrix on these old Bally games. I don't remember. What I will do, just for giggles, I'm going to kill the game. I'm just going to remove this, plug it back in, wiggle it a little bit. Maybe we've got a little bit of schmutz on that switch, or that connector. The nice thing about these really early Bally games is they have the superior Molex connectors, crimping stuff. I can't get it close enough, but you believe me, right? A non-IDC connect. Oh, hey, look at that. So the other side of that switch was orange, I think. That's probably why the slam tilt doesn't work. So we found it. That was pretty easy. Sometimes just wiggling and messing with the thing you think might be the problem is the best way to find the issue. So. Yeah, slam tilt I think will show up in switch test, but it doesn't matter because it should just kill the game. And if it's not killing the game when I'm trying to do it, then there's a problem, right? I'm gonna have to yank the manual out. I think I can guess where this one goes, but it's also not super important or critical right now. But I know now that I got to do a little bit of something up here. We'll save that for another day. I think I might actually turn this whole part into an episode, but replacing the. Oh, but I want to do the back glass too. We can do a whole episode. We can do a bit of information on how to install a new Bally back glass and how I do it, and installing a lock in the head. What?
We'll see this one again, I'm sure.
Hopefully. I mean, I like this game. I like Bally games a lot. I always only want to work on Bally games. Oops. So yeah, let's open this up to some Q&A, and I'm going to sit here, install a couple resistors onto these yopsicles I have here, and yeah, I'll install a couple more. I don't even know what time it is.
You got about 30 minutes.
Only 30 minutes? Wow, I've been yapping for a long time. Sorry. I mean, I guess that's what you guys come here for.
Everybody's been super into it.
Okay, that's good.
People say, I love seeing the pinball greats on your show, but this is awesome. This is why I come.
Aw. Yeah, I kind of get, like, I love doing interviews and stuff like that. But man, I tell you what, like, I just like working on the games, you know? It feels like it's been so dang long since we've actually just got to sit down and do some work, you know? But man, let me tell you, that was really wonderful last week. Speaking with John and Tim. I've only met John once or twice, and you know, getting to speak with him, you know, kind of mano a mano. Well, I guess not, because Emoto and Tim were there, so there's 4 of us. But you know what I mean. I think what you have to do is you have to write marcotv@marcopinball.com and let the boss know that maybe we need to do a second show that's interview focused, and you know, keep the pinball repair stuff on another show. Ugh. Always be reseating. Hashtag. That's a rad hashtag. I'm not even going to read this dude's name. I have a Mars God of War, and the knockdowns just started not to go down when hit. And it is sporadic. What would I start to look for? It only happens when fully reset. Once one goes down, the rest will go down. So clarify for me, are you talking about, when you say knockdown, are you talking about like a drop target? A target that you'll hit and will fall beneath the playfield once you've hit it? That would be, if you are talking about that, that's interesting. The fact that they won't go down, but they will go down once hit. What I'm thinking is you might have a lot of slop in that mechanism. I honestly don't remember what the Gottlieb mechanism looks like, but a real common problem with older Bally drop target mechanisms is once you get a lot of slop in the plunger and inside the plunger and the link that yank that bar up, that reset the drop targets, sometimes you'll either get it so it will never actually reset, or they will overextend travel, and they will sit too far up, and they won't be able to be knocked down. Yes, drop targets. What I would ask is, when's the last time you re-rubbered the game? Have you recently re-rubbered the game? If so, that very well could be causing the targets not to be able to move far enough back to be able to fall down. The other option would be exactly what C and K is saying. Maybe the actual bar is sitting too far up. Yes, I re-rub. So, do you have is there any correlation maybe between like the last time you re-rubbered and them also starting to not work as well? Because that could also be an issue. Old rubber is generally is a little bit compressed. When you put new, fluffy, puffy, reboundy rubbers onto your game, sometimes that can cause, they'll be a little bit proud, and they will not allow drop targets to actually drop. I think we actually dealt with that on one game or another. I don't remember if I fixed it on camera, but it was either Time Warp or my Jungle Lord. I don't recall. All right. That's annoying. Let's do it this way. Right now I'm just very quickly soldering some resistors onto my prototype Yopsicle boards so I can use them in this game. I think I'm installing like a what is it? It's red, or black-red ground. So I think that's like 1,000 ohms or like 1,200 ohms. I've never bothered to remember the, what? Hold on. Let me see that comment too. Yeah, that's a weird one. Have you experienced something like that sound problem? No, I have not. Hold on. Yeah, I can't think of a good one for that. I really don't know. I mean, here's what I would recommend. And this is, it's just the power of having more stuff at your disposal, right? If you can, swap soundboards, right? Swap something and see if the problem goes away. And that'll help you at least isolate the problem where that's at. I've never heard of that. I've never experienced that issue. I don't know if... That's a good point. I just think that would be absolutely the best place to start. Reseat your ribbon cables. What doesn't make sense, though, is that you'd think that if you had a bad connection on one of your data cables like that, that the problem would just persist, right? Yeah, that's a curious one. The next DEF CON thing would be just, again, to like swap a soundboard with another game that uses that soundboard, the DCS soundboard. If you have another one or a friend that's willing to let you come over and toss it in your game really quick. But at least you can isolate the problem at that point too. If ribbon cables might not fix the issue. That's really a super powerful troubleshooting tool, is to be able to put a known working good board into a game. That will allow you to figure, it's like, well, the problem exists only here. I can ignore everything else. I've got a service call I need to go do on a Data East Jurassic Park that is not booting up fully. So I need to, actually, that's my problem though, is I actually do not have an original Data East computer in known good working condition. I only have a Rotten Dog replacement. I don't particularly like them. They can be finicky. So. I would definitely start with what Obi-Wan Kenobi recommends though. That's a great place to start. It costs nothing. And it could solve the problem, and you might never have it again. It doesn't need, I don't feel comfortable going to service calls without like a replacement of everything. I always try to bring a replacement computer and stuff like that. So if it is having weird issues, I can isolate the problem. This game has a Rotten Dog in it, and it's not booting up fully, but that could also be a power supply, it could be connectors, it could be many things. The thing is like, I just don't like going on service calls twice, especially not when they're 3 hours away from where I live. So, I always try to come as prepared as possible to knock the problem out the first time. So, let's see. Man, my eyes are so dang bad. Nick Greenan 1. Do you have experience working on Williams System 3 through 7 games? Yes, a lot. And I've also worked on a lot of Williams System 3 through 7 games on this show, going back in the archives. What do you have a problem with one of yours, or what? Are you hot in here, Steve, or is it because I'm wearing a hoodie and the heater's on? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. I'm just gonna start soldering on some Yopsicles while I read the chat and do all this. So maybe I'll convince my wife that we need another pinball game at home, and we'll bring home Strikes and Spares, because she does like this game. I'm going to install these 3 in the back, and then I might do spare or whatever. Oh wait, crud! I need to do the 20,000 bonus too. I've got experience making all the mistakes possible on System 3 through 7 games. My man, you don't learn anything unless you screw things up. I've made a bazillion mistakes on a bunch of Williams System 3 through 7 games in my time. And yeah, everyone screws up sometime. Like plugging the, plugging the black plug in the head into the white plug in the head and blowing things up. I've done that before. That was fun. I think I mentioned that once on the show, how there's like 2 connectors that are exactly the same but will destroy your game if you plug them in wrong. If you've, okay, so Nick, do a thing. Definitely look at the Jungle Lord or the Time Warp videos, or just take your computer out and see if it has ScanB sockets. Take any socketed chip out of the game and make sure it does not have a ScanB branded socket. If it does, remove it and replace it. That is absolutely the #1 cause of non-functioning Williams games. The other thing is that I mean, I don't know what kind of equipment you have or how technical you are, but the game needs a good working driver board to work as well. So if you do not have if your driver board has an issue or is not functioning or has a bad PIA, it can keep the computer from actually booting up as well. So if you have another System 3 through 7 game with a good driver, you could always yank that off and see if that fixes the game. But yeah, if you haven't done the ScanB sockets thing, that's what I'm going to say first. Actually, I don't want to do that one. Actually, yes, I do. Wait, do I? How many do I have? I have 3, so that's enough to do those. And then I have 5 more, and that's enough to do those. Oh, no. Well, I'm going to make all the bonuses match. So I think I'll do that one, and then maybe those. I guess the other thing would be to check the power supply. Hey, it's Tracy. How are you? I was just thinking about how much fun the Houston Arcade and Pinball Expo was last year. We had a grand old time. What a great show. I really hope that we can all get to some pinball shows this year as a collective group of pinball fans, you know? Do it safely and do it wisely.
Please move the camera down. They cannot see.
I got it. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I was like thinking about my work more than I was thinking about like getting the camera into a good space. Tracy, we will be going to, I'll be going to TPF unless, you know, the plague takes a massive turn from the worst and we can't actually go, but there's no, I definitely will be going to that show. Should be fun. Where the heck did my little screwdriver go? I always need more tools. It's probably in my pocket. Nope, it's right here. I swapped a System 9 power supply and it was good, so it's not the power supply. Okay, yeah. Well, you know, that's always the first place to check, you know, is just if you don't have your 5 volts, then there you go. You know what your problem is. But if you've got if you know you've got a decent working power supply and it's still not working, then you know, that's just a real common problem with those dang computers is those Scambi sockets and that dang interconnect. So start there, and you'll be good. You'll probably fix your issue between both of those things. Honestly, I used to be really intimidated working on those games just because of how much work you need to put in on the front end, especially when I had to like make it reliable for a customer or something like that. It always intimidated me. But now it's not. It's very procedural, you know. I'm a firm believer in the shotgun approach of fixing a lot of things just because, you know, getting paid by the hour and charging by the hour sort of thing. Like, in most instances, it would be really awesome to, you know, quell that little bit of curiosity in my brain is why did this break? But, you know, it's not always my job to figure out why something broke. It's more just to actually fix the problem. So when I work on those computers, it's just, you know, new interconnect, replace all sockets if they're Scanby sockets, and generally you fix all the issues. Wonder if that company's still in business. I hope not. I hope everyone that had anything to do with that Scanby company is now broke. Out of business. Oops. Does the small board have an LED built in, or do you have to install one? It's all built in. Yeah, it's just straight swap for these old Bally games. So, Tracy says Marco should do a Tech for Dummies panel where.
That's a great idea. We'll just get a bunch of crappy boards and like throw them out and be like, okay, let's all put a new capacity.
I've always wanted to do that. It's just not a good environment to do it at a show.
You could have a table with like 5 soldering irons and 5 shitty boards.
I think you guys, if you want to do that, just come down to South Carolina and we could sit there and do that class in person. I've always wanted to do that. We would do that at the Pacific Pinball Museum when they actually started selling off some of their double games. We offered essentially a class. You know, if you want to buy a game and it doesn't work, but you would like to get it working, well, a couple extra, you know, $100, and you spend a couple weekends in a month, and you'll sit down with coaches to learn how to fix your game, and we'll get it as good as possible for you to bring it home and enjoy it. And it was actually successful. A lot of people joined up, and it was really fun. I guess I was doing PinTech live in person for a long time. I mean, I guess actually this is my job, so I have been doing PinTech live for a very long time. It was Emoto who gave me confidence to do it on the internet. And you guys for continuously showing up and allowing me to continue doing it. So thank you. I'm not really talking about what I'm doing because I talked a lot about this last week when we were actually installing these things. I'm just kind of filling some time now and getting more onto my game. I just spilt a bunch of solder, but it just went on a bunch of wires, so it's not a big deal. Blech. I think it's like I have a lot of sensory overload. So a lot of the times at those shows, it can kind of like make my brain stop working when there's a lot going on. Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm cutting my head off. Here, I'll kneel. So like, personally, like I don't like doing those big seminars and stuff like that. What? Neil Peart, that's a good one, Steve. But that being said, like, you know, I feel like the thing is I don't feel like I'm smart enough like to give people like actual classes, but I could totally show people how to fix their games, you know. I can't exactly explain why for a lot of things, but I could show you how to. You dig? Yes, Steve is here. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I've tried, like, at a couple shows, I've actually sat down and, like, at MGC, like, we tried to kind of do, like, a Bally flipper rebuild, and we did it live on a stage, and we even streamed it, but, like, I was, like, to be honest, I was super uncomfortable the entire time I was doing that. It was just really loud. I couldn't hear myself think, you know, and it was not my cup of tea, if you will, but that being said, like, I would enjoy, I mean, I really do enjoy doing like one-on-one hands help, you know. It can kind of be a pain in the butt, but I do enjoy it when like customers want to watch or like see portions of what I'm doing. If it keeps me from having to go out and do another service call because they can fiddle and make something work, then that's fantastic. But yeah. I am an introvert. Let's see if I can get this guy on too. Hey, fine. Keep your secrets. That soldered on. Let me get this one soldered on. What's everyone laughing about?
The OB said that you should delegate the work session to me and volunteers. And I said, I am the delegate. Kyle is the delegate.
I am the delegate. He's not wrong about that. I might need some flux to get this one to stick right, but let's see what I can get. That sure felt like wires adhering. Ow, ow, ow. Oh man, my nerve endings are growing back finally. That's great. I can feel heat in my fingertips again. Let me get this one attached and I'll start paying attention to the chat again. Sorry. I would like to sit down and, I mean, if I had to like actually choose, like, you know, for whatever reason, if people would want to listen to me talk, I mean, I would prefer to have like a panel with actual smart people and talk to the people that make and do things. Kind of like what we do with our, like, you know, when I sit and talk to those brilliant engineers at Stern that actually make the pinball machines, you know, I think that would be really enjoyable to do. And it's fun that those dudes actually do enjoy doing that live, you know, at the pinball shows and such. Whew, lots of LEDs. Okay, now I'll turn around. Hold on. I think I still owe people some chug, so. Well, I think, Tracy, honestly, I think you and I are really similar, where we are introverts, but when we are in public, we are very invested in the interactions we're having with people, but that takes so much energy out of me. I feel like I need to go home and just be by myself for a really long time to recharge, you know? Pinball Gramps, I've learned what to do on some things by watching you, but I learn by hands-on. Absolutely. I probably would not be anywhere near at the level and the ability I am now to do a lot of this stuff if I didn't get the opportunity to do so much of it hands-on. You know what I mean? I definitely learn really, really well by doing. I also learn really well from reading, but there's a difference between like theory and practice, you know? Is there a college specifically for pinball repair? No, absolutely not. You know, everyone learned how to do this stuff on the job, right? We're working for the cigarette company or your amusement company or whatever, music company. You learn on the job from someone who had been doing it. Back in the day, there were definitely like, you know, big distributors or the OEMs actually would have technical classes or seminars or something like that, where people would come in, they would learn how these things work, and then they'd have more knowledge. And then it was all secondhand knowledge from there, passed down from person to person, you know, as time went on. I feel really lucky that I have learned from people that have experienced or been through some of those classes, but you know, there's no replacement for actual hands-on experience, you know? When I'm actually going to Chicago in April, and I have an appointment where I'm gonna sit down with the guy who actually designed the entire Spike 2 system. And he is going to give me some insights on, you know, how it works and how things talk to each other and how to diagnose small problems here and there. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. The problem is the guy's brilliant and like an actual electrical engineer, and I'm an idiot, but I know enough to get myself in trouble. So hopefully I'll be able to digest some of that. I'm going to record it, and I'll hopefully be able to continue, you know, learning to repair these newer Stern machines right from the dude that, you know, designed all of it. The guy himself, I mean, I'm not doxing him or anything, is a guy called Chuck Bleich. He actually started working at Williams in the electronics engineering department in 1977. Chuck has had his hands or designed almost every single pinball computer or architecture from I mean, System 7 onward, right? It's pretty incredible. The guy is just incredibly smart, and you know, one of those unknown people in the pinball world that doesn't get a ton of credit for making the hardware for the beautiful, wonderful games we enjoy. So, okay, let's. Oh heck, I'll do this one too. I don't have any more beverage, but I don't know if anyone else has redeemed any more drinks. So please don't, so I don't need to have another beverage. But that'll be kind of fun. I'm really looking forward to that, honestly.
Is there a pop bumper cap in the cabinet?
There are 3 pop bumper caps in the cabinet because I haven't put them in my art box yet. Honestly, I should have just kept these in the game. They're really not that bad, and I kind of like the patina of it, but you know. That one like proverbial art project I'll actually never do, but I'm collecting parts for a decade now. But, you know, if I ever get that day where I open my own arcade, my coffee shop arcade that I've been dreaming about forever, there will be some really, really sweet art. But actually, that means I need someone talented and actually an artist to come and help me make all of the art. But, you know, where'd I put that dang thing? Oh, here it is. What?
Tracy just tested you guys were the same person.
Me and Tracy? Do you want to help me open a pinball coffee shop? Coffee during the day, beer at night, and pinball all day. That sounds like a place I want to be all the time, because it's all my favorite things. Speaking of, is a friend of the show, Colin Baxter, is absent, isn't he?
No, he's been here.
He's here?
Yeah, he was here earlier. He redeemed a bunch of.
Oh yeah. No, he was here. I just wanted to know if he sent me a thank you and.
He had to jump off because his VPN. So.
Oh, Steve and I sent a friend of the show, Colin Baxter, a care package full of some southeastern beer.
He said he drank the Terrapin one and he really liked it, the luau one,
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
but he hasn't tried the Freedom Nature yet.
Okay. He says he's never had a sour beer before, and I sent him some Edmund Ost sours. So I'm really curious to see what he thinks.
Oh, he's here now.
Hi, Colin. He's like on some important like work meeting, but he's got this like in one headphone or something. Anyway, okay, I'm back.
So he's going to try one tonight.
Awesome. Steven, yes, the Strikes and Spare repair went well. Once we end the stream, you might be able to go back in the VOD, and I played it very roughly, but the game plays wonderful. I'm very happy with it. To be honest, if this game was not as torn up, I would love to put this in the arcade downtown, where I keep a bunch of my games, because people would love it. But unfortunately, it is, it's a little rough, and it will continue to get rougher very quick if I put it out for public consumption. So for now, I will enjoy the heck out of it until one day I buy a new playfield and I maybe give it the life it deserves again. Because the rest of the game's actually quite nice. And I very much like this game. So this will be a game that I would love to put a new playfield in one day. Just not now. There's no reason to. It plays and it's great. I'm going to put one more Yopsicle in. And then I might play it for a second. Never had a sour. I found for me that flipping the game over and laying it down in the cabinet is easier to install Yopsicles. Yeah, they are. It's a lot easier. And it is a great product. I would suggest anybody who owns a old Bally game to buy some. They are awesome. I'm going to pull my cord here a little more, install one more so at least all the bonus lights look uniform, and that will quell my OCD for a little while. Thankfully, most of the lamp sockets in this game actually do work, but for how long, right? Once we actually start playing the game, they might start failing en masse. What are any of y'all working on right now? I know we've only got a few more minutes. I mean, Steve, you've got to be here for an hour anyways. Would you be opposed if we went over just a little bit? All right, let's go over just a little bit. If y'all want to stick around, it's like, I'm looking at the amount of viewers we have, and like, it's a lot higher now than it was 30, 40 minutes ago. So we could stick around for a little bit if y'all are apt to do so. I do want to go home and watch some of the Chinese New Year galas. Steve has kind of got me inspired to take a look-see at some of those. I also need to watch the newest episode of the Book of Boba Fett. Please, no spoilers.
Don't read the chat.
Is it right now?
No, earlier. Yeah. Everybody was spoiling everything.
Oh, good. Well, I don't want spoilers, but it's not going to like ruin my life if someone spoils one episode of a TV show. But I'm just very much enjoying the series as a whole. It's pretty cool. I am also one of those like, I'm a Star Wars fan, so I hate like everything Star Wars, you know, but I enjoy it. Pinball Gramps working on a virtual pinball cabinet. Sambuca, 150 LED lights for a Paragon. Whew, that's a lot of LEDs. It's a big game. Tracy's dancing. David's working on a pinball machine. Good man. Pin Daddy 41. Which Zachariah games are you working on again? Someone says you don't want this episode spoiled for you. Okay, wait, are there any spoilers after that comment, Steve? I can't look.
Nope, nobody's spoiling anything.
Please do not spoil, or I'll ban you. Get out of here.
Nice, get some roadshow ramps.
Nice. Hey, Jody. Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you're making me those roadshow ramps that I ordered from you. Die away, buddy. I wish I had a pinball machine that needed a new ramp. Jean-Luc Picard shows up and kills Boba. I don't know about that. I don't think Picard's killed many people, but you know.
But I mean, if he was gonna kill somebody, it'd probably be Boba Fett.
But Boba Fett is not. I don't think Boba Fett.
But if he was actually gonna kill somebody, that person would have to be so amazing, right? If Jean-Luc Picard personally pulled the trigger.
Yeah, if Jean-Luc Picard did personally kill someone, they would have to be really important. The thing is like, I don't think. And please, no spoilers, but I'm not going to give any spoilers away either. But like, look, the character itself, like, and I haven't read like tons of the expanded universe on Boba Fett or whatever, but like, he's a bounty hunter. Are bounty hunters inherently bad? Like, no. I mean, like, yes, like a bounty hunter kills people for money, right? Like, but like that, but that's also their job. So where do they like line up on the, you know, we talked about this, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Where does a bounty hunter line up like on the alignment chart? Like, they're not neutral, they're not good.
Well, I mean, you have to be a little chaotic, right?
There has to be some chaos. You have to accept the fact that you're.
You also have your own set of rules, which would make you lawful.
I think that bounty hunters are definitely lawful.
Neutral?
I think so.
Lawful neutral?
But maybe slightly towards like the chaotic side, but also a little bit evil. Like in the sense like you have to be okay to kill. That's bad, right? By our moral code, humanity, humans on Earth, killing is bad. But it's also like their job, right? So you're doing it for money. So I feel like.
Alignment doesn't necessarily mean that you align with the laws of the land, right? Lawful just means you have your own code.
Yeah, you have your own code. Yeah, because in Tatooine, maybe you can go, maybe murder is legal, whatever. But maybe on Coruscant, murder is not legal. So anyway, sorry, we're getting way off topic. Gotta run. Okay, bye. Thanks for joining us. Oh, wow, man, I'm just ranting and I'm not reading the chat.
Is Dog bad?
Dog the Bounty Hunter? No, Dog the Bounty Hunter is like, he's like a paladin. He's like total paragon. That, you know what? Wait, when did Dog the Bounty Hunter come out? When was that like a TV show? Was that early 2000s? You know what? Like, I've actually really been enjoying watching like very early 2000s like reality TV because it's hilarious and it's a lot less. It doesn't have a formula, right? I walked in and caught my wife watching The Simple Life, and I forgot how hilarious that show was in the like realm of early 2000s, like no, basis for reality TV sort of thing. And it's been hilarious because I remember watching that and thinking it was so dumb when I was a teenager. Anyway, sorry, let's talk about pinball again. I'm going to go wash my hands because they're covered in lead, so please no spoilers. I'll be right back. I need a paper towel. It's the last paper towel. No.
Dentist is so upset that the pop bumper caps are just laying in the bottom of the machine.
Yeah, let me fix those pop bumper caps for you.
I want you to at least put them in the coin box.
They will. Oh, you know what? Look, I'm not done. The game hasn't even been vacuumed out yet. They're safe now. All right.
You want to wrap?
No, just a minute. I just want to read the chat for another minute, you know. We'll run over for just a few minutes. I want to see and make sure that all those lights work. They do. Oh, that's gorgeous. All the bonus lights are going to match in color, temperature, etc. now. I'm a happy man. All right. Oh, God, I don't want you to see my head, so we're tilting this down. I can't wait to get my hair cut again. Dog the Bounty Hunter is good. All right, well, I'm glad that we're at that point. So, yeah, Obi, I know a bit about the Star Wars expanded universe. You know, I've read a lot of novels when I was younger, like the whole series involving Admiral Thrawn, and you know, I'm familiar with the Clone Wars. I've watched a bit, so. I like a lot of the expanded universe stuff. Billy the Exterminator. No, I don't know that one. I'm sorry I am mistreating those pop bumper caps. I feel bad. I don't want to upset you, Dent0123. But now they're stowed away safely. Yeah, man, I'm stoked on this game, though. I'm really happy with it. It's missing 2 screws. I need to get some number 6 truss head screws. Let me do that now. Because then I can really put that glass on, you know, nod my head a few times and say, all right, I done good. And that's the feeling I'm looking for today, you know? Get out my box of machine thread screws. Man, we were chasing down a really annoying problem at the place I was working in Savannah this weekend. I didn't even fix it because it wasn't like mission critical, but I had a lamp matrix short in Adam's family, and man, what a pain. Really not looking forward to going back and chasing that one down, but it's got to be done. I'm not even sure how I'd address it. Though it was funny though, the whole time I was there working on that, all those games, I was just like, man, I wish I could just like turn a stream on and just like, you know, let people watch, you know, talk only sometimes, you know, not kind of be Johnny on the spot like I am now and have to talk the whole time. But I think, I don't know, that would be kind of fun. I don't know. Okay, so I haven't seen the most recent episode of the Star Wars show, but I feel like the last episode was just so dang cinematic. I don't know. There was like, did like that crew get like sick or something? So they had to bring in like the cinematic folk, and it was really pretty. But I also need to sit down and watch some super cool Chinese New Year galas, which I'm also very excited for. I don't think I have any number 6 truss heads. I have this one, but it doesn't match the finish of that one. You know what? Who cares? This is, it don't matter.
How bad are DI shorts that find an older value solid state games in the future spawn?
It's a lot easier to find shorts in the older games. It does take a lot of work and a lot of time, you know, to move your head around and be really thorough. But on a game like Adam's Family that just has so much going on underneath and a lot of lamps, it can really be a head scratcher. At the same time, I admit, I brought my friend Josh, who has been on this show before. He owns the arcade downtown here in Columbia, and he wanted more practical knowledge on how to work on pinball games, you know? And not just be familiar with the stuff that he has. So I brought him with me, and he's the one who actually found the problem, and I offered him some tips to sit down and try to pinpoint the location, but he wasn't able to do it, and I didn't spend a lot of time on it. So it might be something real simple, but it's a pain in the butt. I mean, like on older Bally games, I've had like a, you know, gut punch sort of issue on them before, where like I've had, I found a game once that had a shorted light bulb. The actual light bulb in the socket was dead, but it was the short, and that was a pain in the butt. I have found games that have shorted lamp sockets, and it's really just, it's a lot of time spent. It requires a lot of time when they get really nasty, you know, getting in there and getting really granular with removing and taking things apart. But it's very rewarding once you do fix the problems. So, oh man, everyone's talking about Star Wars now. We need to stop talking about Star Wars because there's going to be one person that hasn't heard me beg for no spoilers that's going to be like, man, wasn't this super cool? Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, we can end soon here, Steve. Let's go for another 5-6 minutes. I want to, I'm not sure what we're going to do next on the show. Baywatch is on the list. We are definitely going to start working on an older electromechanical game called Planets. I have a customer who is actually, he might be bringing a game to me, which might end up in this building for a while, but it is a older Bally. Actually, you know what? I don't know what it is, because when I asked the guy, what game is it? Oh, no. Oh, hey, ban that guy. Ban that guy. I don't need to see that. This guy told me he has a game for me to work on. All I know is it's an electromechanical game from the 70s. So we'll see what it is. But maybe that could be on the show as well, like actual real-life troubleshooting on a game that I have no idea the history of. The guy also offered me a game. He's like, I have my neighbor wants to sell this game. It's $300. It's a 1961 something. And I was like, okay, well, you know, he's like, well, the people have had it in their house since 1974. I'm like, dang, you know, so that actually, it could be a treasure. We'll see what it is. But I might be buying another pinball machine, which is something I told myself I wouldn't do this year, but I'm weak. So we'll see. I really want to finish Hotline. I might do some work on Hotline over this weekend or next weekend and glue some vernier down in the bit where it's missing. That'll be really fun. But Planets will be a neat one. We can get an EM running. You get to see me get frustrated when I can't figure it out right away. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, Manu's streaming.
What's Manu streaming?
He's streaming how to install Stern Insider Connected.
That's a good one. We'll switch over to him in a minute. Steven, I'm at 12 right now. Oh, go for it, go for it. Go for it. We're going to end here in just a second. See, people are starting to roll, so that means we're going to roll. Thanks for joining us. That was fun. I'm glad that we got so much done. I hope you all learned something in the 5-10 minutes I was doing something educational. Steven says, I'm at 12 to get to 15 by the end of the year. It's doable. It absolutely is. I have a rule where I won't buy a pinball game unless it costs less than $1,000. And it has to be real special for me to want to spend more than $1,000 on it at this point. But hey, any chance I can get an old 2-inch flipper game? I like a lot of those early 60s games. And even if I just make it nice and I, pass it on to the next guy for the price of what I paid for it plus, a little bit of labor, But yeah. What day is today? Thursday? Bearcat. Hey, you learned something. Thank you. I'm glad that I taught somebody something today. Hopefully it's something that you guys can use in practice. Most pinball machines have switches. Most pinball machines also have pop bumpers, so, there might be something useful that came of all of this. I'm really excited to continue installing Yopsicles in this thing and just get the back glass in there, and then I'm really stoked on it. There's some more cosmetic work I want to do. This this plate here that goes underneath the glass is kind of surface rusty. That's a real easy plate to take off, hit with a scouring pad, clean the rust off, and it's the little things that make games look so much nicer. So that's going to be next on the list, but cosmetic stuff is so low on the list. Discord bump, yeah. Wait, hold on. Yeah, we have a Discord also. You did? Thank you. Can you do it one more time, Steve, before you go take a break? I'm right there. 1,500 is my max. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so check out our Discord. Steve, Smidge37, just put that in the chat. We have a Discord group. There's a core group of us that are always chatting and talking about fixing and joking and et cetera. So if you enjoy or want to have a direct line to me, we can always chit-chat about some pinball stuff and little problems here and there. And it's great to have all y'all there at my fingertips, instead of just once a week. Thank you all for doing this. Thank you, Pinballgrams, for continually showing up. Dent, thanks for joining our stream. I'm happy to have done this. Thank you for also telling me to put my pop bumper caps away. Sorry I swore a little bit, but Anyways, I'm going to go check out, I'm going to try to find Manu's thing, and we're going to get ready here to raid Mystery Pinball Theater 3000. Give me a moment. I need to find our stream. How do you do this again? I got this, don't worry. I'm totally capable. Emoto said to raid the tourney. Oh yeah, wait, hold on. Yes, sorry Manu, not today. IE pin, I need to make sure I have the channel right. I mean, why aren't we following on our Marco channel? Hold on. Are they live? Give me a sec, y'all. I mean, I would raid them if they were live. All right. Well, hey, we're definitely gonna go and raid Manu then. You'll get in trouble if you don't. CNK, ask Manu if his butthole is cattywampus. Oh wait. Wait. Automod said held a message for a reason. Sex-based terms. I'm going to allow that. Butthole is acceptable in my roundhouse of words I'm allowed to say here. Just raid the page. Yeah, no, I think we're going to go raid someone who's actually streaming. So if y'all are on Twitch, make sure to follow IE Pinball to check out some super high-level tournament play in California, if that is what you're into. If not, go hang out with Manu, because he's hilarious and rules, and he might field the question if you ask him if his butthole is cattywampus. So thank you all for joining once again. It's a pleasure. This is like my favorite part of the week, and I can't thank y'all enough for joining us all the time. So the raid is now starting. If you are on Twitch, you are now leaving. If not, you're being sent to the ether. Goodbye.